Why would anyone replace a perfectly good working wall switch? Maybe it doesn't go with the decor of a modern room, or it doesn't match existing light switches. Of course, the problem with replacing working wall switches is that it costs money. If only there was a way to get them in bulk pricing. Well, now, thanks to the Home Depot Seeds program, we can get a 10-pack for one price, which includes not only the switch, but the wall plates, and it's UL and ETL approved. Inside the box, you get instructions on the use of single-pole decorative rocker switch. And that means that these are basically an on and off device, not to be used if you want to dim your bulbs, and not to be used if you have a three-way light switch. How do you know if you have a three-way light switch? Well, if you have a room or a hallway in which one switch controls a light and another switch in that same hallway or room controls the same light, then those are three-way switches. These have a ground terminal and then two side terminals. Power could come in on either side and then goes out on the other terminal. At the bottom of the box are 10 nylon wall plates with screws, and these simply attach to the mounts on the switch, and then you have a very nice, attractive look. With the circuit breaker turned off, we're going to remove these two wall plate screws. With the two wall plate screws removed, the wall plate comes off, and now we see the switch, and there's a screw here and a screw here that needs to be removed. Now, warning, this was painted, so there is paint on the device. So you're going to need to maybe get a utility knife and cut this away from the paint. Otherwise, what will happen is when you go to remove it, it may tear the paint or some of the wall material with it. So the best way to do that is just take a utility knife and just cut around that to make sure that it is free. After cutting away the paint, we can remove the screws. Sometimes they come all the way out. Sometimes they'll just hang on. Doesn't matter. Then we can pull our switch out. Now, even though I know that there is no power coming to the circuit, I don't know about any other wires that may be in this box. So I'm careful as to what I touch, and until I actually confirm with a test probe, I'm not going to touch the wires. I test my probe on a working device, so it detects voltage, so I know this is working. Now I come in here and I just probe all the wires that are in the box to make sure that there's no live current that could be passing through that I need to be aware of. And it looks like everything in the box is non-operative at this point, so we are safe to pull this out. And all we're literally going to do is there's a wire that goes to one terminal here, and then on the other side, there's another terminal. And all we're going to do is unscrew the wire from each of those terminals and attach it to the new terminal. As you can see with this connection, there is no ground wire, so the ground that we have on the new switch we won't be using. The switch that we just removed actually utilized push-in connectors for the wiring. Instead of wrapping it around the terminal, they were just literally pushed in here and here. In order to get that wire out, you need something like this. This just happens to be a Leatherman Squirt PS4, and it has one tool on it that actually fits right into that slot and releases the wire so that it comes out. You could also try a small screwdriver, but I find that the little squirt is just perfect for this. So either you unscrew the terminal to release your wire, or if it's a push-in type, you need to go into that rectangular slot located there and there to release the wire. In looking at our replacement switch, we also see that it too has push-in connectors there and there. It'll only accept 14 gauge wire, so if your house is using 12 gauge wire, then you have to use the side terminals. I generally prefer the side terminals only because I feel that makes a better connection. Before you go wiring in your switch, you need to know which side is the top. It's hard to know because the switch doesn't give you any indication, but thankfully they've actually marked it for you. On this one it says it right there, TOP, top, so you know that's going to be facing up when it's mounted. In taking a closer look at this electrical box, I see there's a screw in the back and there is a ground wire attached to it. So I'm going to piggyback a ground wire off of that so we can utilize the ground wire terminal on our switch. In order to do that, I got some thin ground wire. I'm going to wrap it around that screw and give myself a few inches to come out so I can wrap it on the terminal of the light switch. Having secured my ground wire to the ground wire that's attached to that screw, we're now able to terminate it at the switch. With the wires attached to the terminal, and we're going clockwise, so the shepherd hook is going clockwise on each of the terminals. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's red on top or black on top, or white, if it happens to be white and black. It doesn't matter which one you put on which terminal. The switch is just allowing the current to flow through, so it doesn't matter which way it goes. With the wires attached and the ground attached, we're ready to push this back into the box. And then we're going to attach this screw that's here to the junction box, top and bottom, that hole right down there. And then the remaining hole is where our little wall plate screw is going to go, right here in the center. Once the screws are in, your switch should look something like this. You may have to notch out a little bit of wall material in case it was narrower than before. We didn't have to do that, but just saying, as you'll notice, it's wider here and it comes in. And so this is rectangular, so it may get in the way sometimes, but using a screwdriver just chisels some of the material out of the way and you should be able to get this straight up and down. All we need to do now is put on the wall plate and then use the mounting screws that are included with the kit. One there, and you're done. We've turned power back onto the circuit. We flip the switch, and we have light. Congratulations, that's how easy it is. Now you have 9 more to do. As you can see, replacing the switches is not too much of a challenge unless you're looking to replace these switches. Although this isn't as complex as it looks. There are 3 individual switches. So that's easy because you know how to do 1, then you know how to do 3 in a row. The difference is we're going to have to get a 3-gang wall plate to replace this existing one because you can't use the single plates in here. So if you're looking to replace more than 1 wall switch, you might consider buying them in bulk, like in a box of 10 as we did here, because that way you can do 10 switches, save yourself some money, and update the look of your home. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, join the subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.